Welcome to my channel, Balkan Aesthetics. In this video, I'd like to discuss why most modern relationships are built on sand. When you look at most modern couples, you'll see that the men and women are with each other for usually the wrong reason, right? The foundation of their relationship isn't a stone, it's sand. And to put this into a biblical perspective, right? All you have to do is just ask yourself, what keeps these two people together, right? If it's not God that holds them together, what does? And when you give it some thought, the likely conclusion you'll come to is either the relationship is held together by physical attraction, money, or status. Those are the three main drivers of a modern relationship between a man and a woman. And physical attraction is by and large the main driver of relationships in the modern era. Okay? One of the reasons God tells us to avoid lust, to avoid fornication, right? To not sleep around or to get physical with somebody until after marriage is because it fogs the senses, it dulls the senses, it tricks your mind into thinking you like this person when in reality you don't. A lot of men have that term they use, it's called post-nut clarity, right? After they sleep with a woman, it's only then that they discover that they don't really like her in the first place, and they were only with her because of the attraction they felt. However, that clarity that they had quickly subsides because their drive for lust, right, their lustful desire picks back up again, and they forget about how much they dislike her, right? This is why God tells us to avoid physicality before the time comes, because you won't be able to properly assess or characterize how a woman or a man is as a person, right? You'll be blinded by their beauty or their charm or their power, and that's inevitably what you're going to fall in love with instead of who they are as a person. And most people make this mistake because most people don't have God. And I used to be one of those people, I once was blind, but now I see, because God was fortunate enough to open my eyes for me and help me see how things really work in this world. So whenever you see a modern couple, and God is not in the forefront of the relationship, if He's not the glue that holds their relationship together, that relationship or marriage will inevitably fail. And if it doesn't fail, it's most likely going to be filled with a lot of strife and a lot of turmoil because of those two people not putting their foundation of the relationship in God. This is why the Lord said, the man that builds his house on stone is a wise man, right? The winds come, the storm comes, the tough times come as well, but the house remains stable because it was built on a solid foundation. That is the way of thinking of a wise man. But when you look at a fool, right, and a fool is anybody who doesn't have God, they end up building their house on sand. When the first storm rolls in, that house ends up inevitably collapsing. And if you juxtapose this with most modern relationships, you'll see that's the case, right? A woman dates a man because she finds him physically attractive. Then some time passes, he becomes less physically attractive, and the relationship fails. She cheats on him with someone else. A woman dates a man because of his money, and as soon as that money dries up, she ends up finding someone else, and she tells the guy one day, I just fell out of love with you, I don't know what happens. And the guy, not being wise, doesn't realize that the reason why she loved him in the first place was because of his money. And in his pride, when someone tells him that was the case, he'll get angry and say, no, she loved me for me, something else happened. Or he'll lie to himself and say, no, she's with me because I'm successful, not because of the money. He'll think to himself that money is a proxy for success, and the reason why she's with him is for his success and not for his money. Not knowing she couldn't give a hoot about what he does as long as he made a boatload of money. So, by and large, the reason why most modern relationships fail is because they don't have God as the foundation. So this is why you need to be careful who you date, and you shouldn't just date anybody. You should see what their relationship with God is like. If they don't have a firm relationship with God, if they're not born again, if they don't make God the priority in their life, there's a very high likelihood that the relationship is not going to work out when tough times hit. And if you don't believe me, just look at divorce statistics. The majority of divorce happens because of financial disagreements. But if the marriage wasn't built on finances and instead was built on God, that would never be an issue. The woman would stick by her man when financial turmoil hit instead of cutting and running to someone else. And the same example can be made with men, right? Most men date women for their beauty, right? How they look. And once that woman's beauty starts to fade, once she no longer has that youthful luster, he ends up trading her for a different woman. And that woman ends up being heartbroken and starts to hate men, justifiably so. I mean, who can blame her when all she's known is just men who are just dogs and pigs? So yeah, by and large, that's the main lesson. Most relationships are built on sand, and that sand is either power, lust, or money. And the only relationships that end up standing the test of time are relationships that are built on the foundation of God. So look for a righteous man, look for a righteous woman, look for somebody who puts God first, and that way you'll have a relationship that stands the test of time. So yeah, that's all I got for this video. If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and do so. If you want to leave a comment for any other future video, I'd be happy to oblige. And as always, God gets the glory. See you in the next video.